This is a weird one for Locked On Gators, but I have been told that there is going to be a change in the Florida Gators secondary, and we're going to talk about it here on Locked On Gators.
You are Locked On Gators, your daily podcast on the Florida Gators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Locked On Gators, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day. We are available daily and free wherever you listen to podcasts. Happy Wednesday. I'm Brandon Olson. Find me on Twitter at WNS_Brandon. Written work with Whole Nine Sports and Giants Country. And before getting into today's content, just to say, stay safe, everybody. Wild times out there right now, so stay safe, evacuate if you need to, and wishing the best to you and yours. As always, on Wednesdays, the Florida Gators will release their new depth chart later on this evening. And I've been told that there will be a change in the secondary, but it's not the change that most Florida Gators fans want. I know some Florida Gators fans, probably the vocal minority, do want this change, but no, it is not zero. It is not Trey, it is not 22. It is not Rashad Torrance. It is Avery Helm is going to be taking a step back. Jaydon Hill is going to be named the starting cornerback tonight. If what I was told rings true, then yes, Jaydon Hill is going to be the starting cornerback opposite Jason Marshall Jr. And the second rotation of corners will be Avery Helm and Devin Moore, meaning Jalen Kimber, who played, I think it was 11 snaps against Tennessee, is pretty much going to be completely phased out. And again, he was getting phased out a bit, but it's not often that the Florida Gators have played 5 corners. So it's likely that Jalen Kimber will rarely see the field, if at all, while Jaydon Hill is taking corner 2 spot, I guess. I don't like calling corner 1, corner 2. It's just like the outside corner opposite Jason Marshall Jr. Jaydon Hill, of course, tore his ACL before the 2021 season, is now healthy, took a while, had a couple of setbacks. Was listed as probable for the Tennessee Volunteers game, but from what I've been told in the program, the change is supposed to be Jaydon Hill opposite Jason Marshall Jr., Avery Helm backing up Jaydon Hill, with Devin Moore backing up Jason Marshall Jr. No change at safety, no change at star either. That's the only change that I've seen. Gators secondary got torched quite a few times against the Tennessee Volunteers. I think we know who it was that messed up. I have double and triple checked what happened, and I know who messed up, but I'm not the type to bash people, so I'm not going to do that. I do think corner is not the position that needs to see the change. I do think it is at safety. But again, I mean, I'm more annoyed about this for what this means in terms of ripple effect. Jalen Kimber, I'm not the biggest Jalen Kimber fan, but Jalen Kimber's been playing pretty good ball. I mean, Florida loses that South Florida game if it's not for Jalen Kimber dogging on that slant and having the pick 6 there. So Florida loses that one without Jalen Kimber. He should be playing. Devin Moore should also be playing. Avery Helm should be playing. I realize that a lot of Gators fans like to target 24 there based on their tweets. Again, vocal minority, but yeah, 24 is going to play less. 3 is going to play probably the same amount. Jason Marshall Jr. Jaydon Hill stepping in as a starting corner. I don't necessarily have a problem with Jaydon Hill getting into the depth chart. I am a little actually genuinely concerned about how much he's going to play, because we know that he tore his ACL last year. He had a setback right before the season. He was probable for the Tennessee game, and then now he's playing. I don't know if he's going to be on a snap count or a pitch count kind of deal right now early on. I don't know that. I just know that what I've been told is that he is going to be the starting corner opposite Jason Marshall Jr. We'll see how it goes. I mean, I don't think it matters that much this coming weekend anyway, with Hurricane Ian coming in and the rain, and it's probably going to be a very run heavy game anyway. So we'll see. We'll see how much it really matters in the long run, but that's what's happening for now. Again, this is what I've been told in the program. Jaydon Hill starting opposite Jason Marshall Jr. Offensive side of the ball, the biggest change that I think needs to be made, Keon Zipperer needs to be listed at tight end one. It's as simple as that. I like Dante Sanders. I do. I have no issues with Dante Sanders' play at all. What I will say is that Keon Zipperer has been the better blocker this season, and Keon Zipperer has been one of the most productive pass catchers this season at any position. Yeah, there was the highlight play against Tennessee. I'm not going to say, oh, that highlight play, he deserves to be starting. No, but I will say that it's been 2 weeks now where they've gotten him involved actively and they've tried to actively get him involved and he's produced. So I think that he's earned that. And again, as a blocker, neither him nor Dante Sanders have been good. I want to make that very clear. But Keon Zipper has been the better option of the two so far. So I'll say that where I think Keon Zipper should start. Again, both of them are going to play regardless, but Keon Zipper should see the majority of the snaps easily. Looking at linebacker, I want to see DeJuan Black get in as a rotational player. Right now, it's been Ventrell Miller, it's been Amari Burney, and Shamar James has rotated in. Scooby Williams has rarely rotated in. DeJuan Black made the incredible play on that onside kick that was just like, wow, look at that. Incredible athleticism that we've known he's had, and we want him on the play, and we want him on the field. He's played one defensive snap this season. That's it, and that's not fun. But, I think that you're looking at a defense that has constant communication issues, that is constant, just bad plays. And again, I don't think it's a scheme. I genuinely think the biggest issue is the communication. I think it's horrible, whether it's miscommunications and saying the wrong thing or not communicating in general. That I don't know, but I think that it's constant miscommunication, just based on the way that a lot of the big plays, I'm like, why were those guys or that guy or whatever, why were they doing that, or why was he doing that? And everybody else looked like they were in a completely different defense. So it's kind of confusing there. And I'm not saying DeJuan Black should start, but I think he's earned at least a rotational role, especially because I realize people have been saying, bench Amari Burney. You're not going to bench your leading sack artist right now. The Florida Gators pass rush has not been very good. Most of their pressures have come off of designed pressures, and Amari Burney's capitalized on them for the most part. So Amari Burney's not going to get benched. Stop it. Simple as that. Return specialist, literally anybody. Literally anybody but Xavier Henderson. And again, I have no issues with Xavier Henderson getting the ball. He should not be returning kicks. He either makes the poor decision or he's not that explosive, dynamic athlete. You have dynamic athletes on the roster. Let them field the kicks and let them try to make these big plays, and then just let Xavier Henderson focus on playing offense. That's all I want. I'm not asking for much. Joining me now is going to be Hayden Hansen, Florida Gators tight end. But first, a quick word from BetOnline. The Florida Gators have pretty much alternated whether or not they're going to be underdogs or favorites or underdogs or favorites. And this week against Eastern Washington, well, pretty big favorites. Line's not out yet, but I'm assuming it'll be somewhere in the 40-ish range. Just because, again, it is SEC versus FCS, so that's going to happen. But BetOnline is where I will be betting Florida no matter what the spread is. I can promise you that. BetOnline is your number one source for all of your betting needs and sports information. I've been using BetOnline for years now. It is insane when I think about that. It's 6 years. It's over half a decade that I've been using BetOnline, and that is absurd to me right now. But hey, money's money. I'm still here, so I'm having fun with it. You can bet on not just sports, but you can bet on reality TV shows, politics, economics, all that fun stuff that you want to. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn all about the trends and action. Check out BetOnline. It's where the game starts. Joining me now for today's episode of Locked On Gators, like he does every Wednesday, is Hayden Hansen, Florida Gators freshman tight end. And Hayden, we always talk about the game that most recently happened. what is the feel or the sense in the locker room now after that very close loss to Tennessee?
Yeah, so I mean, I'd say the feel really is. I mean, it hurts again. I mean, we got that taste in our mouth after Kentucky came, and then got it right back in our mouth, And I think it's really been a head down and work. Even with this hurricane happening and stuff, we're focusing up, and even like so. We don't practice on Thursday for hurricane reasons, and the staff's gonna be putting in extra work and stuff. And they were telling us that, and it's just a great chance for us to get ahead too. Like not physicality wise, more book wise, more knowing our job. Because I mean, most of the time you watch the tape, it's 10 guys doing what they're supposed to, and one that messes up, And we just got to get to that point where it's all 11, and we'll be good. I feel like that opened a lot of eyes. I mean, Tennessee's a good football team, and we should have won that game. There's about 12 plays of just Florida beating Florida, and if we fix that, we're gonna be pretty good. So to process, and we're hoping to get that taste of our mouth against Eastern Washington, and then look ahead.
Yeah, I'll tell you that I've been a Gators fan pretty much my whole life, and there were few things that I've ever seen as frustrating as some things on Saturday were, because yeah, it wasn't wonderful. But one thing that was a very bright spot was that Anthony Richardson pretty much answered every critique about him that he heard. Again, myself included, I'm not shy that I've been pretty harsh on him at certain points, but he's got to do it consistently to silence people. But how great was it to just see him thrive in hostile territory? And also, do you get to kind of take a little bit of a victory lap? Because I know last week when you were here, you were like, maybe it'll be easier on the road without 90,000 Gator fans watching. So just how great is that?
Yeah, so I mean, I feel like it was good for him. He showed everyone that he can and he's capable of doing it. It was great. I mean, watching him sling the ball around, it was on target most of the time, and yeah, I mean, I feel like maybe it's a little bit off his shoulders when he's on the road. I mean, there's not as many expectations. Everyone's against you. There's no expectations of you. And I feel like he'll when he gets it down where it's every week, he'll be one of the best quarterbacks I've ever seen. So
Yeah, he's insanely physically talented. He's so physically talented, it kind of pisses me off. That's where we're at with it. But I feel like every week I ask you about, tight end involvement in the offense, whether it's they should play more, they should rotate more, they should do this more. And this week is still going to be no different. The Tennessee game saw Keon Zipper be more involved in the offense than ever before, specifically as a pass catcher. So you being a freshman tight end, a young guy where it's like, okay, like my time will come. Is that kind of, relieving to see someone get involved in the offense so much as a tight end? And it's like, well, soon that will be me.
yeah, so I mean, I finally saw what Napier used to do at UL. Involved in tight end. I think we had 5 catches. Dante had a couple too. I mean, that'll be my spot eventually. I'll be a Y, and he made some good possession catches too. But I mean, Zip stole the show. I mean, that was physical run, great touchdown run. That's just what I mean. That's just what I've seen Napier do in the past. So I'm good to finally see that here. I feel like that kind of, or hopefully, opens everyone's eyes, including fans. That I mean, we got a talented tight end room, and hopefully we get involved more. And I think we will after this game. So
And I mean, we know, you've already mentioned that practice Thursday not happening because the hurricane game got pushed to Sunday. How are you guys kind of preparing for Eastern Washington? Because everything is kind of thrown out of whack now.
yeah, so I mean, it's actually pretty simple what Napier said. Thursday's off. We don't have that. And then, so all that does is set the week back by one day. So normally Monday after a game, that's our day off. Now Monday will be a Sunday, and then Tuesday will be a regular Tuesday. So we're just losing a day. We're losing our day off next week because of this. Because technically Thursday will be our day off. So if that makes any sense to you.
Yeah, you're still getting the same number of days off. It's just a matter of really when
Yeah.
they.
Yeah.
And we've spoken about this every week. Where last time the Gators were heavy favorites for the South Florida game, and they fluctuate whether they're favored or underdogs every week. But last time they were heavy favorites was South Florida, and it didn't go as expected. Similar situation here, where the Florida Gators, every Gators fan is looking at this game going, "We should win this game handedly." Whether or not fans should refer to the team as we, but that's another argument. Is there kind of an extra go for the head mentality with the last big favorite game not working out the way we were thinking?
Yeah, so I mean, I think everyone in the locker room will agree with that we should win by a lot. And I mean, I wouldn't say we're approaching it any differently than we would any other team, but I mean, there's obviously an expectation of just going out there and dominating on all sides of the ball, game changers, special team, or my fault, game changers, offense and defense. I mean, it should be clear. It should be a dominant game. We'll see what happens, though. I mean, they've got talent too. We can't overlook that, but at the end of the day, it should be a dominant Florida win.
Yeah, you're lucky that that Billy Napier doesn't watch these, because if he would have heard you say game changers and special teams, might have you might have seen what happened on the sideline against the balls happened
Yeah.
out in the locker room. As the sun comes out and small businesses are back in business, LinkedIn Jobs makes it easier for you to grow your team. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the people that you want to interview faster and for free. And if you've never used LinkedIn Jobs before, I highly, highly recommend it. That's how I got my last job before I joined Locked On. With simple tools like screening questions, it makes it easy, for you at least, to prioritize and focus on candidates with just the right skills and hire the right people that you want to. It's why small businesses rate LinkedIn Jobs number one in delivering quality hires versus leading competitors. And did you know that nearly 40 million job seekers visit LinkedIn every week? Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockdowncollege. That's linkedin.com/lockdowncollege to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. But speaking of just practice and game changers and all this, you were named the a job taker of the week. Just what does that mean for you, and what kind of goes into earning that title?
Yeah, so I mean, about 95% of the freshmen at some point in practice, we will go switch jerseys and put on. So I wore one of the Eastern Washington's tight ends number, and we'll go run their offense against their defense for like a very competitive about 8-minute period. There's four 8-minute periods, and yeah, after that, after the week of practice, I got it for last week. The defensive coaches will get together and pick 3 to 4 guys that they think gave us the best look, and that'll try kind of elevate us into maybe seeing the field. I mean, it doesn't really change as much, but it puts you in the spotlight, you know. And so that's why I was into the defense, because we were on the defensive field, and then Jack Clyburn and them, but they were on the offensive field. So it just does that every week. And yeah, I finally got a tight end up there. So
Yeah, and I know that this one happened a while back, but I just noticed it yesterday. You had someone tweet at you a few weeks ago at this point, where they have the same last name as you, and they tweeted that their son was amazed. They said he almost fell off the couch because he saw someone with the last name Hansen, the same last name, and he wears the same number as you, 89.
mhm.
So what does that kind of mean for you, where it's like, oh, like this kid almost fell off the couch just seeing his same name and number, and you're a true freshman getting to kind of impact people already?
Yeah, I mean, it's an unreal feeling, man. I mean, it kind of reminds you how lucky you are, and how lucky you are to be in this position with fans that pay that close attention to you. And I mean, I didn't even play that game, and he still saw me, and it's just cool. Like I signed my first 2 autographs after the last game. It's a cool feeling, man. It's like it's why you do it, you know. It's why you go to all those hard practices, and that's why football's your life, you know. It's surreal, you know.
Yeah, and there are a few other things. I'm not even gonna pretend to be like, oh yeah, I super sleuth this. I was just looking through Twitter likes, if we're being completely honest about it. And you seem to have a bit of a nickname from some people, which it's about the quads, Quadzilla, Quad God, whatever
Yeah.
it is. When did that start? And just what the heck is that like?
All right, so funny story. Back when I was still getting recruited, I had about 4 colleges come to my house, like back to back to back to back, like each day. First it was Washington State, then UTSA, then Napier's old school UL stopped by, and then Florida stopped by. And before they left, they wanted to get a picture with me by my front door. It was me, Peegler, Napier, and O'Hara, and I was in the middle. And my mom took a picture a little lower, so like you saw my whole body, they saw my legs, and then it started blowing up. Like Florida fans started like that was the first like tweet that blew up. I had like 3,000 likes, and they're all like quad god, quad god. Like so after that, then the other fan bases that were trying to get me to commit, they kind of stuck with them too, and they just kind of just stuck. That was the first time I got called that, but it definitely hasn't gone away. So
Yeah, it ain't gonna. I'm gonna let you know. Gators fans don't know whether it's good or
yeah,
bad. So that's sticking with you. And then just to wrap up, it's very everybody has these pre-game rituals they do, or most people have these pre-game rituals, whether it's superstition or just listening to a specific playlist, whatever it was. I was a very bad football player. I would listen to DMX all the time, and it didn't help me get any better at all. Kind of, what is it that you do before a game day?
So yeah, I mean, I'm not really a superstitious guy, but definitely definitely got to listen to some music. It just depends on how I'm feeling. If I'm feeling really anxious, I'll play some country, kind of get my nerves down. But if it's pregame, I'm like blasting maybe 50 Cent, maybe some. And if we're going like current rappers, I'm like talking like Kodak, stuff like that. But really, I mean, and at the end of the day, when you have headphones on in the locker room listening to music, it's really pointless because you always got a player like Henderson or someone blaring the speaker right next to you. Like, what do I even have these on for? Like, I hear two songs, so you just take it off and just bump with the locker room. So,
What do they play in there? If you
oh, oh, that's all over the place, man. I mean, of course they play Rod Wave. That's probably the most dominant artist they play. Um, I'm trying to think. Definitely Rod Wave. They play a lot of Kodak. Obviously, I guess he's a pretty big deal here. I mean, I'm not from Florida or anything, but a lot of people seem to like him here. And I mean, it's really between those two because like I don't know if you're familiar with Rod Wave, but he sings about like girl problems and stuff, and those guys in there just they vibe to it. And then he's got the hype music too after a game, and then they play that too. So I mean, that's definitely like a heavy favorite in that locker room. I really can't think of anyone else I could say. So
All right, this is Hayden Hansen, Florida Gators freshman tight end. He'll be here every Wednesday with Locked On Gators and every Saturday, except this week because it's a Sunday, with the Florida Gators. Thanks for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day every day. We'll be back tomorrow as Aaron Best, the head coach of the Eastern Washington Eagles, will be joining me to talk about this Florida Gators versus Eastern Washington game on Sunday. In other news, check out Locked On SEC, hosted by Chris Gordy of Sports 790. Get the best coverage on the best conference, including the best university, the University of Florida. For Locked On Gators, me, I'm Brandon Olson. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter at WNS_Brandon. Find all my written work with Whole Nine Sports and Giants Country of SI.com. And I will see you all tomorrow.